Hello. Today I'm going to be taking a few minutes to talk about a creature in the book of Job, Job 40, called the behemoth. I mentioned in my last video that on dinosaurs and how they fit in creation and so on. And while the word dinosaur is not it's not used in the Bible, it is they are indirectly talked about. Is what to put it. In the beginning, I will read Job chapter 40, starting verse 1. The Lord said to Job, "Will the one who contends with the Almighty correct him? Let him who accuses God answer him." Then Job answered the Lord, "I am unworthy. How can I reply to you? I put my hands over my mouth. I spoke once, but I have no answer twice. But I will say no more." Then the Lord spoke to Job out of the storm. "Brace yourself like a man. I will question you, and you shall answer me. You would you discredit my justice? Would you condemn me to justify yourself? Do you have an arm like God's, and can your voice thunder like his? Then adorn yourself with glory and splendor, and clothe yourself in honor and majesty. Unleash the fury of your wrath. Look at all who are proud and bring them low. Look at all who are proud and humble. Crush the wicked where they stand. Bury them all in the dust together. Shroud their faces in the grave. Then I myself will admit to that your right hand can save you now." And this is verse 15 is where he talks about behemoth. "Look at behemoth, which I made along with you, and which feeds on the grass like an ox. What strength it has in its loins, what power in the muscles of its belly. It sways like a cedar. The sinews of its thighs are closely knit. Its bones are like tubes of bronze, and its limbs are like rods of iron. It ranks first among the works of creation, yet its master can approach him with his sword. The hills bring their produce, and all the wild animals play nearby. Under the lotus plant it lies, hidden among the reeds in the marsh. The lotus is concealed in their shadow. The poplars by the stream surround it. A raging river does not alarm it, and it is secure. Through the Jordan it should surge against its mouth. Can anyone capture it by the eyes, or trap it, or pierce its nose?" So, that sounds a lot like, well, let me say this first. While the book of Job is very poetic, I mean, you know, it's in the wisdom literature. You got Job, Psalms, Proverbs, Ecclesiastes, and Song of Solomon as the wisdom literature, and I think Lamentations is too. And many people think of how poetic it is. They think maybe it's not literal, or he could be describing a certain animal with extreme exaggeration. But there is clues that he's being literal in this part. And the book of Job is, if you don't know anything about it, it's about a man named Job who loses all of his family, and his wife leaves him. But he was actually Satan was actually challenging him to see if he would lose faith in God, and he never did. But then about midway through there, his friends come. I cannot remember their names, but they come and they question him, and they question all sorts of things. And they say, well, you had to have done something wrong for all this to happen to you, which was a common belief back in them days. And they, they just encourage him. They say if he did something when he didn't. And Job was lost all of his livestock, all of his kids, even his wife, and got leprosy. And he never lost faith in God. And towards the end of it, God questions them, but Job never has an answer to them because they're rhetorical. And that's a little brief summarization of the book of Job. And before I'll go ahead and say of what I think this creature is, I think it is a sauropod dinosaur. Here's one to get a good idea of what I'm talking about. Because when you think sauropod, think long neck, like this one. This one's a brachiosaurus. And that's just one out of several genuses. You got brachiosaurus is my favorite. But you got Diplodocus, Apatosaurus, and Dreadnoughtus, and then you got more. And which one of them he was talking about exactly, I don't know, but I'm confident it was one of these. But some people, that's a problem for the theory of evolution, because like I said in the last one, humans and dinosaurs would have never seen or heard of each other, because dinosaurs died out 65 million years before humans, evolved and come into our current form. So, but I have mentioned before, I don't believe in the theory of evolution whatsoever. And later on, I'll do videos explaining why I don't, and scientific reasons it's invalid. But I did in my one video it said it doesn't fit with Creation Week, based on time and the order and other things. Like, I'll give one example here. The sun, moon, and stars were created after the earth was, and the drought, and the oceans and the land. In the theory of evolution, it would have gone the other way around. The sun would have been before the earth was filled with water, and even plants were made before the sun, moon, and stars. And the plants can't go millions of years without the sun and water, and so there's one. And there's more, but that's just one of them. And another thing, the theory of evolution contradicts several scientific laws which we are governed by. Like, one, the law of the law of biogenesis, that every animal will reproduce after their kind or family. Whether it be a dogs, let's say you get I don't know, this ain't right, I'm just saying this, but let's say you get a Yorkie from I want to say a Silky Terrier. Even though they're a different breed, they're still dogs. Like And I should have used this one, but from wolves you get dogs, coyotes, and dingoes, and I'm trying to think if I'm missing one, but there's still dogs, not dogs. There's still canines. You don't see a wolf producing something completely counter to a wolf or something within its family. And you don't see a hippo getting a giraffe, or an elephant getting a lion, or that's what evolution is based off of, because you would have went reptile, the mammal, so a reptile sometime would have produced a mammalian creature, but more on that in later videos. And so let's go through verse 15 through 24. Oh yeah, some people like to think that this is either a hippo or a elephant, and I'll explain why they are neither one. Behemoth. It says, and another reason why this is literal is because the God says, "Look at Behemoth, which I made along with you." So, and if they don't believe it's a hippo or elephant, they think it's some mythical creature. But that one throws that one out the window, it being mythical. And it feeds on grass like an ox, which hippos and elephants do. It's got strength in its loins. Yes, so is power in the muscles of its belly. But then it says, his tail sways like a cedar. That would have to be a big tail, because they'd be talking about Lebanese cedars. That's the tree on Lebanon's flag. Them things were a big sign of power and authority back in the Near East. And they could grow up to 100 feet long. And, if you look at both hippos or tails, both hippo or elephant's tails, they're tiny compared to the body ratio. But, this Brachiosaurus has got a tail like a cedar. See how big their tails are. And it sways like a cedar, moving back and forth left or right, based on how the sauropods were designed. Every time they walked, based on the muscles connecting their tail to their thighs, it would sway back and forth every time they moved forward. So it can't be a hippo or an elephant if its tail's being mentioned. If he's talking about an elephant or a hippo, he wouldn't be talking about their tails, because there's nothing impressive about it. And their thing is, God is trying to impress Job with his creation in this section here. But before that, he mentions real animals like lions, hawks, and eagles, and he mentions an ostrich and so on. If he were talking about a hippo or an elephant, I think he would have put them in that group, not a special group. He's singling Behemoth and the Leviathan out. Leviathan will be soon. And he says it's got tubes. His bones are tubes of bronze. His limbs are rods of iron. which that could work for hippo and elephant. It ranks first among the works of God. And so, for it to rank first, it'd have to be, a magnificent creature. And I don't think a hippo fits that criteria, nor does an elephant. And it says, only its maker can approach it. Meaning, only God can approach him. It can't be an elephant because people approach it all the time. Not only that, it's domesticated. Well, not domesticated, it's all elephants are taken from the wild. Not only that, elephants are used for working, they're used for all sorts of activities that humans can use them for. And hippos, you don't see anyone going up near them because of how dangerous hippos are. But, they've been hunted throughout the centuries, and there's an Egyptian festival called Harpooning the Hippo, where I think the pharaoh would go on a hunting trip for hippos. And it also says he lies under the lotus plants, and he's hidden in like this marsh, and there he eats the plants near it. And then it says, a raging river does not alarm it. It's secure, although the Jordan should surge against its mouth. Can anyone capture it by the eyes, or trap it and pierce its nose? That more says, can anyone capture it? Meaning, no one's able to. But you look through history of people have trapped and hunted hippos and elephants all the time, like I said earlier. And, another thing, sauropods were gigantic dinosaurs. They were, I'm going to say this one's 10 times the size of an elephant. This one I got. This one here is. And they get bigger than this one. Like the Dreadnought, I guess, the biggest one to have ever exist, was also the largest land animal to have ever existed. And that thing can kill an elephant easily. And its tail would have been real powerful too. It would have used that for self-defense, and it could do catastrophic damage to any predators, whether they may be, whatever species of dinosaur they may be. And that just doesn't fit an elephant or a hippo. And it says, when a raging river does not alarm him, meaning he ain't scared by the Jordan whenever the river's rushing. And that's all for Behemoth. Next time will be the Leviathan, which this is a semi-aquatic creature that God mentions in the next chapter. And he talks about him similar to the way he does the Leviathan. Behemoth. And that's not the only 2 times mentioned in the Bible that it mentions dinosaur-like creatures. There's another in Isaiah where it mentions winged serpents that match pterosaurs or pterodactyls. But that'll be it. So, yeah.